Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there? Welcome on into the Sports Buffoon Studios out here at Overland Park, Kansas. We got the boys, Tanner Dawson and Jason JG. What's up, guys?
What's going on, everybody?
What's up, y'all? JG.
Happy 6-9 day, guys.
Yeah, 6-9. We are on June
Super nice.
9th today, so he's excited. I mean, I see the hashtag in front of Tanner right there if you're watching on YouTube with us. If you're on Spotify, you got to get on the YouTube game too, you guys. Give us a follow at Sports Buffoons, and from there you'll be able to check us out live. And we got some good things coming up this weekend, you guys. The three of us will be going out to Arrowhead Stadium this weekend for Brewfest. That is going to be freaking awesome. We are going to be, playing it safe, of course. We're getting dropped off and picked up, so on. So those of you out there, they're going to be joining along. I hope you guys do the same. But main thing is we're going to go out there and get drunk, aren't we?
That's the plan.
Not going to lie, there's got some good Imperial Stouts hopefully in the mix, some double IPAs I prefer. So, that's going to be a big day for us.
I think it was up to like 70 breweries or something like that coming into play. So
we didn't have one last year.
I'm ready to get hammered. I'm a little upset that they didn't have it last year, but we had such a great time 2 years ago that I'm ready to make it happen.
Oh, yeah. It'll be good. It'll be fun.
If you guys want to join, leave a comment or hit us up on Twitter, and we will try to meet up with you and say hi and maybe chat a little bit of Chiefs football with you for a minute as well. So.
And you can watch Mike eat some grass.
Eat some grass. Eat some Arrowhead grass. Whenever you're like so attached to a team like I am the Chiefs, like you wouldn't feel like you're a part of the field sometimes, and the field's a part of you. So having that grass in my body, was a life-changing experience, and I really appreciated it because I felt like I was one with Arrowhead, which is what I really needed in my life. No. You guys would probably do the same, right, at some point for over something?
Yeah, I don't know about that measure, but I'm sure I would do something.
Okay, guys, we have a couple serious topics to get to today, so let's not be goofing around too much. We are sipping on a little bit of whiskey over here. We got the Old Forester 100 proof today. So that is what the three of us are sipping on at the moment, but we're going to try to behave ourselves leading into the weekend so that way we can really party hard, I think. So there was something I saw in the news today, actually, that really stood out to me, as a matter of fact. And, we're going to talk about the Royals. We're going to talk about some NBA coming up. But the big topic of the day is about Gerrit Cole and the way he handled a question that's proposed to him recently after Josh Donaldson basically called out Gerrit Cole for using a potential banned substance there on the mound. And Gerrit Cole, his reaction to that was something along the lines of, I don't know how to answer that, but in a much more of a dumbfounded kind of a way when he was asked. I thought it was pretty interesting because obviously this has been going on in baseball for a long time where everyone's trying to get an edge. This year in particular, more than ever though, Tanner, we're seeing better pitching now than in the history of the whole game. And so we're seeing a higher spin rate for pitchers. We're seeing 100-mile-an-hour cutters. We're seeing just some nasty, nasty pitching going on. And the home runs are down. Historically they're down for the season at the moment. And pitching's at an all-time great. Now I think that's bad for baseball. Because we do want to see an even playing field, in my opinion. I enjoyed the 90s.
What do you mean even playing field?
I want to see it become a game where...
So we went from juiced balls...
Yes, I like the juice ball era.
To some extra stick on the fingers so they can get some spin.
I want bombs, and I don't want the pitchers
to get too much. So you don't want an even
advantage.
Playing field. You want the hitters to succeed.
Depends on how you want to look at baseball.
I do like juice balls, but that's what she said.
That's right, especially on a 6'9", so... Good point, Jason.
There might be lots of those today.
I enjoy it. I wish the girlfriend's doing something else, so I don't know about that if that's going to happen. But so, anyways, my point, you guys, to get back to the topic here. So the idea here is that he's called out for using a substance called, I think, spider tack is the name of it. Where basically, if you look online, there's some pictures of guys like picking up cement blocks with spider tack stuck to their hand. It is that sticky. And just the amount, you can use that on your hands and your fingers to get even more velocity on your throws. Now, I know, Jason, you have an opinion about this you'd probably like to share. I, in particular, I don't like cheating in baseball by any means, but I also don't mind guys getting a little edge.
Cheating, by the way, this is coming from Gerrit Cole, who is part of the Houston Astros trash can.
Yeah.
deal. Like, shocker that this guy's part of another scheme going on in the baseball world.
But doesn't this happen everywhere? Donaldson even said himself that Gerrit Cole's not the only one. I mean, there's lots of pitchers doing this.
There's tons of pitchers doing stuff. They're trying everything they can.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to sit here and say that I hate cheating, except that we've had cheating since the steroid era. You know, we had steroids, we had the Astros, now we've got a different scandal. And
corked bats.
Yeah, the only thing that happens is
Corked
when you
bats.
try to fix one thing, then you're going to see a different form of cheating like 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
So with the whole Gerrit Cole interview, my biggest problem with that interview is the way that the media trashed him. And the only reason they trashed him is because you heard crickets for a lot of that interview. But if you just point to the substance, if you just go by the substance of what he said, there's actually a lot of truth to that. And what he said is that there are a lot of things that have been passed down from generation to generation. And so anybody that wants to sit here and tell me that this is a new thing where, they're using spider tack or whatever the case may be to, like, you know, make it easier for the pitchers and more difficult for the hitters, well, we all know that's bullshit. That's been going on for decades. And so, in my opinion, this has nothing to do with Gerrit Cole. And I don't think he should be thrown under the bus for this. I mean, sure, you want to investigate it, but I mean, this is not Gerrit Cole's fault. And I do believe this was indeed passed down from generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
But my bigger issue here is the fact that Major League Baseball would not even bring this shit up, except for the fact that their sport is dying. And what's the best way to revive a sport is to score more runs. Okay, so if we're going to punish the pitchers all of a sudden, what is the unintended or maybe intended consequence of that? Now you're going to have another era of where the hitters are going to dominate. You're going to have more points will be scored, more runs will be scored. And so if I'm Major League Baseball, I'm sitting here looking at this, absolutely. You know, I have a dying sport. I want to punish the pitchers. I want to, you know, make it more fun for the fans to come out and watch the games. And you're going to make the sport more exciting if you're going to put more runs on the board. So that's the bottom line here. I don't think Major League Baseball would make as big of a deal about this if it wasn't for the fact that their sport is dying.
Man, this is kind of funny. This is kind of funny, guys.
Why is it funny, Tanner?
So the last few years in baseball, right? It's been a hitter's game, right? It's been a hitter's game.
Well, it's been trending more towards pitcher's game lately.
Trending lately, as of maybe a little bit of last year to this year, right? The last couple of years, we'll say. But since your Randy Johnson era, right, Pedro Martinez and all those guys, it kind of went away, and it was kind of a hitter's ballpark the entire time. Now, all of a sudden, you want to hate on the defense just like the NBA does, just like the NFL does. We got to make it hard on the NFL, right? Defense guys can't do anything now. You make it hard on the NBA, right? Flops, right? Mike loves a flop, so
yeah, LaFlop.
We talk about that all the time. So now we're going to hate on the defense of the pitchers. The pitchers, the guys that always have to overcome different stuff. They can't use pine tar like the batters can for the grip of the bat. They can't do certain stuff. They're stuck trying to...
Well, they use pine tar on their hats and stuff like that. That's been going on forever. Pine tar on hats?
No, it's still illegal.
I mean, they get away with it. It's kind of an unwritten rule at this point.
It's been a little bit more ignored the last few years. But now that the pitchers are all of a sudden having success, now we got to be like, all right, hang on, guys. We got to figure out what's going on here because we're not hitting home runs as much anymore. All these hitters that are supposedly good and everything, they can't adjust to the new spin rates. They can't adjust to the new pitches coming after them, the more accuracy that's happening. And now we're blaming it on the pitchers instead of the hitters. Be a better hitter. Be a better hitter. That's all I'm going to say right now.
I mean, with the training, obviously, and things like that, you would think hitting would be at an all-time high, too. I think they're both progressing pretty much equally, hitting and pitching. But I also don't want to see like an edge like this go to pitching because we do enjoy the sport of baseball when there's bombs. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's
that's
we
what we like.
enjoy seeing points scored, right? NBA, it's all about how many points can you score, the 150 to 145.
Well, when it
games.
comes to baseball in particular, I mean, that's a different kind
That's
of story.
like the NFL. That's why the defense is so hard to come by. The corners can't do anything to the receivers
No,
anymore.
but I obviously like defensive.
It's just the
battles.
The pitchers are the corner of the MLB.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, think of that position. Pitchers constantly get hit with this issue, and it just can't it's just always something going on with the pitchers. They're having so much success this year. They had Seattle Mariners, right? Connor's team, 2 no-hitters thrown against them.
No hitters are at an all-time high.
Yes.
This year.
Why? Because we're actually having great pitching and they can control it. Now, also looking back as well, the older guys as they go on, you lose kind of your grip in your fingers, right? You got to do something, or else you're just going to be done at the age of 29. The way that you got how much these guys throw and what they're throwing and how hard it's coming off of their hand. Because if you don't have any kind of grip, pretty much as soon as you hit the age of 30, you might as well go to that guy that's 21 years old in AAA. Because you don't have any more grip because you just can't spin the ball now.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
the choice then cheating then, or what are you saying?
No, I don't. I love it. I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it.
With what, the spider tack?
The spider tack. I'm cool with it.
So it should just be allowed because right now it's a banned substance.
I think it needs to be a certain level, like not slobbering it on like the pine tar, right? So the pine tar got regulated, aka George Brett's fiasco. So I think it's fine. Or they have to do something. They have to give the pitchers something to help them out, especially as they get older.
This has just been a drastic, it's like watching the crypto whenever it shits the bed.
Look,
it's like the drastic nature of pitching this year being better than ever.
I'm also
biased. It's not even close. It's not even close.
I pitched all through high school. I coached, when I was coaching ball for a while, I coached pitchers. I'm a pitcher guy, and I love seeing this fact. I love seeing this. Like, they're taking to the hitters.
I don't have a problem with it. In fact, I thought Gerrit Cole himself actually was trying to be kind of honest about it without saying exactly what it is he's been doing. Because, by basically not denying, he's basically admitting to having something, And I thought he was trying to, basically say he doesn't know how to answer that because he also doesn't want to lie. So he was trying to avoid the truth while also not totally giving away his hand.
By the way, it could be the ball itself, too. We're just blaming it on something else, right? So Pete Alonso with the Mets first baseman says it depends all on the free agency class coming up, and MLB manipulates the balls. We had the juiced balls. That's what she said. Now we have all of a sudden home runs are at a less because of because pitchers are actually being able to locate and put spin on. I don't think that's the case. It could be the ball itself. They're just not juiced anymore, and it's showing their hitters real skill, their real level of their home runs.
Well, it's the ball itself. That's the MLB then manipulating the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, Pete Alonso had a great theory because coming up here, you got shortstops that are going to be top class. Trevor Story's in there, Javier Baez. Like, those guys are coming free agents and looking at big money. Well, if you take away their chance to hit those home runs and be effective hitters, they're not going to make that money. And then you got a guy sitting out and possibly like a Lindor situation where he doesn't get signed till way later on. So,
well, the idea here behind all this, Tanner, to kind of wrap this up, but I just want to say the MLB is looking into actually checking pitchers throughout the game now. It's coming up here in the next couple weeks, where they're going to check them 8 to 10 times per game.
So dumb.
For potential of some kind of substance, a spider tack or pine tar.
Check them when they come out each time. Just check them each time they come out the dugout. That's all you got to do.
That's the idea behind it.
All right, so a couple of points here before we move on. Tanner, you talked about the older pitchers.
Correct.
And how we need to somehow help them out. Well, I don't really give a shit about the older pitchers. They can go to a nursing home if they forget how to pitch, for all I care. That's point number one.
They don't forget how to pitch. They just can't locate their ball as much because they got no more grip.
So that was point number one. Point number two is I'm having a tough time with this discussion because as a sports fan, whether you're talking about MLB, NFL, NBA, I've always been a big fan of defense. And I feel like I'm kind of the anomaly, and I think like the average fan, they want to see more points scored no matter what the sport is. Mm-hmm. And so I think just to wrap this thing up, I think that's kind of what Major League Baseball is looking at because
that's what the fan likes.
They got a dying sport. They got to do what they can to rescue the sport.
They want to see offensive action, not a 27-out pitcher. So
Yeah, I got another topic here you guys need to talk about with some pitchers that might need to borrow some of that spider tack. But here we are watching the Kansas City Royals here recently. Gone on a bit of a slide. It has not been pretty the last few days, and they've been losing close games. You know, the types of games that they're in it the whole time, but they're finding ways to lose at the end, or getting behind early in the beginning. But I have a little bit of a problem with some of the ways Mike Matheny's handled his GM role with the Royals lately because obviously they brought up guys like Daniel Lynch about a month ago, who was brought up, and about Daniel Lynch, there's a situation where he was actually, coming from AAA at the time, and it was about to be the start of AAA at that point. AAA manager then came up to Daniel Lynch and then basically told him, well, you wouldn't be making Tuesday's minor league opening day start anymore. And he goes, well, you're going to Kansas City instead. And so basically from there, Lynch had to pack his stuff up, get all ready, and then he drove down from Omaha, Nebraska, and then started on Monday. He didn't have very much time in between there, obviously, to get ready for that game and to be prepared and acclimated to the professional game. And then here we had a situation here recently with Jackson Coer, and he came up. He was called up just a few days ago and was going to start the very next day. Now, this is a guy that had, I think, a 5.0 record with a .85 ERA in AAA.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming off of that, those are great numbers, obviously. The guy was down there killing it. And so coming off of that, he comes in, plays the very next day after being called up from AAA and pitches, and he can't even get through a full inning. He ends up going 2/3 of an inning, and he ends up giving up, I think, 4 runs, Tanner. Is that right?
Yeah, 4 runs.
4 runs, finished up with a, what was the ERA end up turning out to be
54.
on that? 54 ERA at the moment. And the problem is, you bring these rookies in here pitching their first ever game, and you're putting them in tough spots right away. Like, a guy like that is going to need to have some moments to, come in, settle down, settle his nerves, get himself prepared. This is his first game ever in Major League Baseball, and obviously the guy's got good stuff. I mean, you don't go down there and go 5.0 and under 1 ERA by accident. And so you put him in a tough situation where it's just not fair for the player. And, whenever you start a new job, think about starting a new job, a difficult job, maybe in something in IT or something like that. And it's day one, and all of a sudden you're starting a new job, and you're just expected to jump in there, you're thrown to the wolves, and figure it out. Well, you're going to shit the bed day one, no matter what. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be bad. And you're going to have no chance for success when you're put in that kind of situation. And to me, the same thing goes for baseball, but here's the difference. You might prevail later down the road and be more successful with your career by having a bad first day. But when it comes to the Royals, they're trying to win games, or at least they should be trying to win games. There's no time to goof around with the guy's career when there's still a whole team that's trying to stay above 500 and win baseball games. I have a big problem with this. I think that Mike Matheny needs to reevaluate a little bit of the way he goes about handling these young rookie pitchers. Now, if you're a hitter, we could be looking at it a little differently. But as a pitcher, those guys are just so, what's the word for it, Tanner? They're very particular about their way they go about their daily lives and being on a kind of a pattern,
it's
right?
It's kind of a schedule, yeah.
Kind of a pattern.
Schedule.
They don't like coming off their routine, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
this is a big wrench in his plans. But Jason, what do you think about this situation that the Royals are currently in?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, Mike. I mean, you and I are both big believers in patterns. That goes back to our gambling days. But as far as him throwing pitchers in there with just bringing rookie pitchers in there and then starting them or putting them in the game after one day, you gave a very good example of an IT professional and just kind of throwing them in there on day one, throwing them to the wolves. My example of a comparison would be if you're working for Dunkin' Donuts and you hire someone to make Long Johns. You teach them how to make Long Johns, and then on their first day, you tell them, oh, by the way, you have to fill that Long John with Bavarian cream. Well, they're not ready for that yet.
That's what she said.
And so that's my comparison to what Mike Matheny is doing. I know it sounds ridiculous, but at least give them a chance to work out with the catchers. That's why we have in spring training the pitchers and catchers meet first and do their thing. I mean, that's kind of a big deal. And so these guys, even though he might have a sub-1 ERA, you put him up in the major leagues, he's got to have a little bit of time to get some sort of a routine down, work out with the catchers. But instead, what's happening is Matheny's just throwing him in there after being up with the club for one day, and then they get butt fucked.
Yeah, we don't like butt fucks here. Tanner, what do you think about this with Matheny? Because I know we talked about it a little bit off the show recently, and I gave my takes to you. But do you think that this is what he's doing is the good move? Because I know you have a lot of opinions when it comes to baseball managerial moves.
Yeah, and I'm listening to you guys here, and kind of I agree. I agree to a certain part of it, right? So he was part of spring training, just so you're aware. So he did work out with Perez and everything, which is good, but it's still, I mean, that was spring training.
A long ass time
what,
ago.
4 months ago now. So there's that. I don't think you're putting this guy on the biggest stage of his life. He just got called up, and the next day he starts on the biggest stage of his current career, right? MLB is a big deal. And, yeah, he wasn't set up for success because you're playing the Angels with Owatani, no Mike Trout, which is probably fortunate, but they're still a really good offensive team. So now you're putting in a bad situation on the road, nonetheless. And, yeah, you're going to see the struggle. I personally think that they should have brought him up and at least give him a day. Give him a game. Like, don't put him in because you're not going to put a starter in, right? So you're going to let him sit on the bench. But let him sit on the bench and kind of get the feel, and then maybe he goes the next day. I'd be fine with that. I would not have an issue with that. I think for this one, it was rushed. He was doing really well down in AA. He gets brought up, and then, well, we saw the result. He had 2 walks, guys. 2 walks, no Ks. He had some great pitches, by the way, which shows he has MLB potential. And now it's just a matter of figuring it out and getting that nerves calmed down on that part. And so, Mike, you brought up an interesting point, and I didn't think about this last night, but you brought up when you were talking about the Royals trying to win games. Where is our downfall right now? It's pitching, right? Mm-hmm. So this is them. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to win games. You gotta make changes, and unfortunately, bringing up these guys it may not be the right choice of when to put them in, but they are trying to get that bullpen and get the starting pitchers underway. Bubik's been actually pretty damn good lately. He had a rough game last night, but it doesn't matter besides that because you're going to have those as a rookie pitcher. So I think the Royals are trying. Matheny is trying. Datemore is trying to get that bullpen, but maybe it's just the way they are trying to do it. It's hurting there.
That's my point. Is that I'm not saying they're not trying to. They're just going about it the wrong way, in my opinion.
So,
and
but
especially with the pitchers, especially with young pitchers, like you can see young hitters come in.
What are you gonna do? Go sign a vet? That's off free agent?
Not even that. You just don't put a guy like that in that type of situation.
Yeah,
so you don't go sign anybody.
Biggest stage of his life. Biggest stage of his career. And the guy, unfortunately, has a really bad start.
This almost felt like an emotional decision for the Royals because the guy was obviously in AAA and then immediately comes in and starts. Mm-hmm. And it's like a situation like that. It's almost like the guy woke up one day and had a hard-on for the idea of bringing in Jackson Coher from AAA and starting him right away, where it's like, hey, be a little more patient and bring the guy up if you'd like. So, I'm in favor of bringing him up.
So this could also be an issue, too, with what Danny Duffy's deal. Maybe they expected Duffy to potentially start, and it was kind of a last-minute deal. So that could also be put in a factor into this situation as well, which is really unfortunate as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I know what you're saying. And pitching is an issue with the Royals, obviously, and we knew that going into the season it was going to be an issue. There was no surprise with that. I don't like the bullpen very much, even though they've had moments of goodness or playing well. Starting pitching has been a problem throughout the year, besides Danny Duffy when he's been on the field. But at the same time, I just think this is not the way you go about starting a young professional's career of calling him up and starting him so quickly. Now, other people out there probably would just disagree, and it's okay the idea to throw him to the wolves or whatever. I just know for the sake of the Royals, for me, like this isn't going to work doing stuff like that.
Well, he didn't get sent down, so that's a positive.
But Daniel Lynch did.
Yeah.
A week and a half later.
But that's also because he was not good at his start at all.
Correct. Like he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready either.
You could tell he wasn't ready. Versus this guy he showed potential. It wasn't a long potential, but his pitches, the way he was almost accurate with the ball, it was just really unfortunate that misses got taken advantage of.
All right, so quick question for you guys about the Royals. So we're 7.5 games out of first, and I want to know what you guys think their biggest issue right now, because I have two biggest issues, and you can choose one. My first biggest issue is that they can't fucking hit. The second one is that they can't fucking pitch. And I want to know your guys' opinion on that, because right now the team ERA is 4.49, team batting average is 241. I think the pitching is slightly better if I had to make my pick. But my personal opinion is that the Royals obviously are not using Spider Tack, and they need to start using Spider Tack like everybody else to help that pitching out a little bit. But seriously, do you guys think that the hitting or the pitching is the bigger problem right now?
Well, if you look at the stats alone, Jason, to answer you real quick before I let Tanner go here, the Royals right now rank 11th in the league in batting average, which is actually, obviously the top half of the league. Where in the pitching, they rank 21st, bottom half. So that alone tells me, compared to their peers and other teams, their hitting is ahead of their pitching. And so that is my answer to you, Tanner. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the same thing. It's the pitching. It's too inconsistent. We got too much change going on. We just sent Junis down, Zuber down because we brought Jackson up, and then we also got Stalmont back from injury. We're just having too much injury as well in our bullpen and our pitching staff, just plain and simple. Especially Danny Duffy's still out. Junis was having some issues, so we sent him down. Stalmont was out for a while. So it's just the inconsistency going on in the pitching staff area. And then also trying to figure out that fourth, fifth starter.
So you're saying you don't want them to use Spider Tack, or you do want them to use Spider Tack?
Use Spider Tack.
Okay. I just want to be
It's
clear.
not a big deal.
We know all the help we can get.
If everyone's trying to get an edge, I'm in favor of my team getting the edge too. So, yeah, let's all
Should we get the trash cans out?
Whatever it's going to take, Tanner. Start doing some tip-offs, whatever you got to do. The Astros know all about that strategy, so they also know how it turned out. So, they actually they won a lot of games doing it, Tanner. So,
They won some titles.
I'll take the Royals winning some titles and then just take all the flack afterwards, I guess. But, anyways, you guys, so I'm glad we got that out of our systems and some of the negative talk about baseball. Now the Royals are still under 500 at the moment, but still like a long season to go here. They still got 100 games left, so a lot can happen over the course of time here. And Perez has had a great season. Merrifield's played okay here and there. Andrew Benintendi has been awesome. So there's some good signs still on the team, and we'll see how things play out as time goes on. But real quick, though, before we jump over you guys, since today is June 9th, 2021, I was kind of curious.
Nice.
I was sitting here thinking about this, and I have a couple favorite highlights I like to watch every once in a while, and it involves a 69 in it. And I'll come home late at night after hanging out with you guys, might feel a little frisky, turn on the TV, go to my favorite web browser, pull it up, and then look at my favorite 69 of all time. Jared Allen is my favorite number 69 of all time. And so I wasn't sure if you guys had your own favorite 69 of all time. Now, this could be like your favorite player. This could be a favorite stat. I mean, this could be just about anything you want. So do you guys have a favorite 69 you like to, think of fond memories of?
Fond memories of a 69?
Yeah.
PG?
I got a few rated R that I could bring up, but I'd rather keep it PG for the YouTube land, I guess.
That's an interesting one.
Did
Mike.
I steal your guys' favorite 69? Because I feel like we've all been into him at some point.
I know he didn't steal mine. My favorite number
you like
69
6ix9ine
player.
the rapper?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go with number 69. Back in 1995, there was a player on the Jacksonville Jaguars by the name of Eugene Chung. That is my favorite number 69 of all time.
That was a former Chiefs coach.
Great player.
Yeah, very good. Very nice.
Interesting.
What'd you guys think of whenever Dennis Rodman allegedly requested the number 69 when he joined the Dallas Mavericks?
He's just a genius.
He was refused. He ended up having to wear number 70 instead. So.
Well, when he was on the Mavs, he was on his way out anyway. So I don't think he really cared much at all that they refused him. But
are you surprised though, because the NBA has actually never allowed the number 69 to be worn?
No,
That's the kind of league
That's
that they
what
are.
the NBA is.
They're not. They've never once allowed a player to wear the number 69 because of sexual connotations.
Well, that dates
course.
back to the days of David Stern, the old NBA commissioner, which he wouldn't even allow. I mean, he wanted all the players to wear a suit before every game when they walked into the games, and so he was kind of a stickler when it came to the rules and stuff like that. So that doesn't surprise me that he didn't allow these 69ers to mess with the 76ers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mike, I might give you a semi here because 69 Day and all, but how about Hank Stram in the 1969 NFL Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's perfect. I love it. That's a good 69 right there for sure.
23-7 victory.
Of course.
Yeah, you got to think about that. If you're going to do a favorite 69, it's got to be Super Bowl, right?
Should be. Yeah, absolutely. That was 50.
I can't believe you didn't say that, actually.
Gerrit Allen's my guy. There's other 69s that went around. There was John Runyon, David Bakhtiari is number 69, Mark Schlereth wore 69. Screw that guy. Tim Krumray, remember him? Tanner, the Chiefs' old defensive line coach.
Yeah.
He wore number 69. So there's been a few out there, but Gerrit Allen, without a doubt, the best 69 that I've ever seen. So.
Yeah, and the NFL allows it too. So there you go.
And that's very true. All right, you guys, enough buffooning around, but that was for you out there in the YouTube land that wanted to see us have an idiot conversation. But so let's jump on over to the NBA, you guys, because we just had a great week and weekend of some action. My Phoenix Suns, they prevailed as I expected over the Lakers.
They did it.
They did it easily. I mean, in convincing fashion, without a doubt. And here they are already up 1-0. And now they got a game tonight, as of right now when we're speaking. They'll be starting here in about 15 minutes, as a matter of fact, from our current time. But obviously, we had some big things come about. We had a new MVP being announced. But in general, the Nets have lost James Harden at the moment, and they're still dominating. Like, is there any way this team can be stopped? I don't think there's anyone that can hold them down, even without a James Harden.
They've done this all year long. It doesn't matter who's out. It really doesn't. I think, to me, as long as KD's on the court, it's either KD or Harden on the court, they're going to be fine. It doesn't matter. Because they've been doing this all year long, and they were still a number 2 seed.
You could still do it if you just had Harden and Kyrie. I don't care which two of the three you have. It doesn't even matter. And I'm glad you all out there were listening to the show. When I previewed the season, I told you guys, don't even watch the games. The Nets, you can go ahead and give them the trophy right now. If everybody stays healthy, give the trophy to the Nets. Now, we all know that didn't happen because Anthony Davis got injured, LeBron James got injured.
Everybody got injured.
But, we said it on the show a long, long time ago that the Nets would win a championship, barring injuries, and now they have an injury, and they're still going to win.
And I think it actually says more, not really about Brooklyn Nets, but more with the Milwaukee Bucks situation going on with Giannis and the Bucks. They thought they loaded up. Well, Drew Holiday, you brought him in, but he's not going to take down Kyrie Irving. Giannis can't even keep up with Durant or anybody. And you got Brook Lopez trying to play defense. Get out of here. Like I think there's more. It'll be more issues for Milwaukee in the early exit again. And it'll be more news about that instead of the Brooklyn Nets just dominating.
No, I absolutely love what the Bucks did, and their biggest problem right now is that they're playing for an NBA championship right now. These are the two best teams in the league. That's their only problem, and so if I'm sitting there as the Bucks GM, I'm just trying to keep this group of guys together for one more year, maybe 2 more years, because eventually that Brooklyn Nets team, they're going to get old and they're going to start seeing more and more injuries. And so the Bucks did everything right here, and they are the second best team in the league. They just got to they got to keep this thing together because they're younger, and so they might actually get a championship if they can just keep their group together, and then the Nets get old.
Well, I think we're going to see more of a similar situation in Portland happen. So I think the head coach is gone, right?
Yeah, he's out of there.
He has to be gone. But that might be a good thing for Giannis and that team.
Yeah, the head coach is gone, and I hope to God that Dame Lillard is gone because that guy's 30 years old. I love him. I think everybody loves him. He's probably one of the most popular players in the league, and we just want to see him win at this point. That's never going to happen.
Could we see a Dame and Giannis combo this offseason?
I want to see a Dame and anybody combo because CJ McCollum is no spring chicken either. And oh, by the way, there's nobody else on that whole fucking team. So you got Dame and CJ and a bunch of scrubs. So I want to see Dame get the hell out of there because he's been playing at an MVP level, in my opinion, for the last 5 years. But he doesn't have anything to show for it. So I would love to see Dame go to the Lakers. I mean, I think that's what they need. If I had my first choice, I would say let's put Dame on the Lakers.
That'd be one scary team.
Now you got a big three, and if AD gets injured again, well, that's okay because if he's only out for a handful of weeks, you've got Dame Lillard there to like pick up the slack, and you can still score enough points to keep your seeding high.
How much of a relief would it be for LeBron by himself to have a guy like Dame? Because AD is not pulling his weight, obviously. So, like, if you have a guy like Dame, though, that's consistently on the court and just can score at any given moment, and you don't have to go out there and play every single game at age 37, I think that's a huge relief off of LeBron, and that gives him to be more healthy coming into the playoffs, hopefully. But it's just all speculation, of course. But
yeah, I mean, I think if you're the general manager of the Lakers, you've got to figure out a way to get Dame on the Lakers, because if you can make that deal happen, basically what you have is the Brooklyn Nets. It's the exact same thing, right? So if one guy gets injured,
a couple of superstars.
If one guy gets injured, which the Nets have been doing that all year long, if you throw Dame on the Lakers and one, they just trade, each one gets injured for a little bit of time, and then if you get lucky by the end of the season, all three are healthy, you've got a championship caliber team.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting to see if Dame pulls out that trade me card coming in.
Right. So since we're talking about the Lakers, on a side note here, I do want to talk about the Twitter map that just popped up that shows that LeBron James is the least popular player in the NBA right now. And I want to know what you buffoons think about that, because to my knowledge, he's been one of the more popular players in the league for the last 10 to 15 years. And so I want to know the reason why he's not as popular anymore. And in my opinion, it's just because he's been injured last couple of years, so he hasn't been producing. Even though his numbers are what they were, he hasn't been consistent, and he won a championship in the COVID-19 year. But now he just got bounced out of the first round. So is that the reason
it's the wrong
why?
Word, though, Jason. It's not popular. Popular is, I know that's probably what they say on Twitter, but it's not that he's not popular, because everyone knows who he is, obviously. It's that he's disliked. He's the most disliked player in the NBA right now, and it has everything to do with his actions. It has nothing to do with him as a player.
No, it's all off the court.
I know. Well, it's some on the court. Walking off the court, obviously. From on the court. Things like that, just the way he goes about handling his business is very just unprofessional in general. The flopping, obviously, that shit gets old real quick. And the way he just goes about his antics off the court, of course, comes into play, like you said, Tanner. But then, the way he's handled his business about, whenever he did get eliminated from the playoffs and the things he said afterwards, acting like it didn't matter, just this whole ho-hum, like, kind of attitude. Someone like, your favorite player of all time, Michael Jordan, he would have been pissed, from something like that happening. And, it would have driven him to, like, want to be better, obviously, for the future. But it's not that he's not popular. It's that he's disliked by his peers and by fans right now all alike, because he doesn't know how to just, like they say out there, shut up and play basketball. But also, whenever you are on the court, don't act like a little bitch. And he does. So that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
And he's also failing in L.A. So,
well,
yeah, that's a thing.
One of my reasons for bringing up this argument is because when I look back and I see guys like Jordan, Kobe, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Bird, on and on and on down the line, I can't think of another player of all of the superstars that we've ever seen in history. You can't name any of those guys and say that they were the most hated or the least popular at any given time in their careers, especially a guy like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was, he was a Muslim, and so he wasn't really popular. But I don't think he ever got to a point where you could say he was the least popular player in the league, because he won 6 championships.
But he wasn't the most popular either. Most liked either.
No, but I'm saying they're saying that LeBron is the number one least popular player in the league. And as not, Kareem was never a popular player, but I don't think you could ever say that he was the least popular player in the league because he won 6 championships. So is it a lack of championships, Tanner, that puts LeBron in that category, or what is it, do you think?
He has 4 championships. Right?
How many did he lose?
So he has 6.
He lost the same amount that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won.
How many finals has he been to? He's been to freaking 10. 10 freaking finals.
So you don't think it's the losing record?
No, I don't think that has anything to do with it. Okay. Anything to do with it.
It has to do with the antics of the moment.
I don't think
that's what all comes down
anything
to.
About his championships. I think it's the fact that he's in LA, a Laker, playing after Kobe Bryant, which is actually a pretty huge deal still, because you also you have that whole role with the Los Angeles Lakers fans that Kobe was, you saw him on one of the talk shows, and it was he was injured, but he was talking there. They showed a clip of them losing or finally getting a win after like a 12-game loss streak, and Kobe Bryant just sat there because they showed the celebration. He goes, "Nope, not gonna happen."
It's a respect
but
issue.
You don't see that with LeBron.
Even with the allegations of Kobe Bryant at one point in his career, people still respected him for the way he went about his business on the court. And he wasn't a guy to pout and stuff like that. Typically, Tanner, like the way LeBron does. And so it comes down to a respect thing where teammates and peers respect Kobe Bryant for the way he's always acted on the court, despite any allegations that ever went about. Where LeBron handles it like a baby.
And that's a good point that you made about the Kobe allegations, because Kobe, no matter what happened in his life, he never gave up. And that's my big fear with LeBron right now, is that after we see this article come out about the Twitter poll or what have you, and how popular he is or is not, or maybe he's not as popular anymore, the first thing that I heard after that is he switched his number from 23 to 6. And that makes me think that he's just totally giving up on chasing the ghost or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to see that, because as you guys know, I've been a big LeBron fan basically ever since he came into the league. And when he was a rookie, I thought, I want to see this guy get 6 or 7 championships. I want to see him fight until the end. And so that's my biggest fear for LeBron, is that now that this Twitter thing has come out, I don't want to see this guy give up. I want to see them add a piece, like a Damian Lillard. And I do want to see them win another championship, believe it or not, Tanner.
Yeah, so is this actually a Twitter poll, like somebody on Twitter? Or what is it? Because it's kind of interesting that we're seeing
it's a Twitter map. They're calling it a Twitter map.
A Twitter map. Okay.
They're saying that
it
by
sounds
the
like
map,
a reach for a headline.
By the Twitter map, he's the least popular player in the NBA right now.
We know he's not the most popular at all, but I just feel like it's a reach.
But that's my point. Yeah. In my opinion, or from all the evidence that I've seen, he is the most popular player in the league for the last 15 years, or basically since 2003 or 2002. Because you heard
him for the entire season.
But that's why I'm asking the question. I just want to know what happened recently to make him be the least popular player, because to my knowledge, he's been the most popular player in the league.
It's just all the recent antics.
It's all the antics, and this is also
off court, on court.
It's also why being a good father figure is important as well, because obviously LeBron not having that in his life, he needed a strong man to show him how to act. Unfortunately, because he's been indoctrinated the wrong way with society as time's gone on, and now this is what we get out of it. We get this person that we have currently above us, because LeBron, when he was 25 years old, didn't act the same way LeBron now at 37 years old acts. You know what I mean? It's almost like he's regressed as a person.
Yeah. Well, I hope they do come back strong. The Lakers come back strong next year. But that does raise an important question for me is, what's the answer for the Lakers? Are they in rebuild mode right now? Because when I look at their coach, Frank Vogel, I do believe that Frank Vogel should be on the hot seat right now. And, we all want to sit here and blame it on the Anthony Davis injury. And I get that, right? If he would have been 100%, we all know.
We know that.
They would have had a better chance. But my question to Frank Vogel would be, why would you give Dennis Schroeder, Marc Gasol, KCP, and Wes Matthews all of the minutes when you knew that Anthony Davis wasn't even close to 100%? And Frank Vogel, he's got to know that these older guys are going to give them absolutely zero on the offensive side of the ball. If they would have thrown, in my opinion, Taylor Horton-Tucker and Kuzma in there into the starting lineup, at least you can give them maximum minutes. You can get fucking Schroeder out of the game altogether because he was just playing for a max contract the whole time. He didn't care about the team. So he's playing for a max. If you would have just got him out of the game, and oh, by the way, all Schroeder did the whole fucking time he was in there was hog the ball and jack up threes. Did you guys watching these fucking games? It was ridiculous.
Did you know that Schroeder actually removed the Laker and the point guard off of his Instagram or Twitter account or Instagram account, one of the accounts on social media, before the final game with the Suns? So that guy, I think he gave up probably 3 games ago, because obviously he got rid of all that, and then he does hog the ball, and he still can't even score.
I just think that the younger guys had more talent than the guys that they were throwing out there. I mean, guys like Marc Gasol, he's a basketball fossil. Shouldn't have been on the court. And I even think you should have gone big. You throw Andre Drummond and Montrezl Harrell also into the starting lineup. That way, you've got a guy, when they were going up against the Suns, you could just throw Drummond on DeAndre Ayton, and then Montrezl Harrell could just roam and be a rim protector. But I just think overall they should have given the younger guys more minutes, because the young guys have more energy on both ends of the floor. Mm-hmm. And you're throwing all these old guys out there, they're going to give you nothing on offense, and they're probably not going to play much defense either.
So the answer is they should be in rebuild mode, but I think it all depends on one guy. It all depends on freaking LeBron. What does he want? What does LeBron want?
I understand that, but my point is...
And that's also why he's a disliked player, because he also will help make the roster of that team.
Yeah, I get that, but my point is that when you're the coach of the LA Lakers, you have different expectations than any other team in any other sport. It's not like, oh, here you go, here's a contract, we're going to give you 2 to 3 years to prove yourself. When you're on the LA Lakers, the storied franchise, you get 1 fucking year. And if you don't do your job, then you need to get the fuck out of there. I don't care if AD was healthy for a good portion of the year. Yeah. Just because he got injured doesn't mean that you just give up and you don't try to adjust your rotations. And that's what I think Frank Vogel should have done here. But he's a defensive coach, and I think that was their downfall, is he needed to fix the offense when AD went out. And that was their downfall, is that he was a defensive coach. And at that point, when AD went out injured, they needed to fix the offense more than they needed to fix the defense.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, you guys. Well, we still have how many weeks left of the NBA season? Is it 5, 6?
Well, it's only
7,
6, 9.
6, 9, and when does it end?
So you've got July 22nd, guys, I believe, is the official end.
Of game. That'll be game 7.
Yeah, that'd be the NBA Finals, July 22nd.
There's 6 more weeks.
And you lucky motherfuckers out there, you NBA fans, you get to start the NBA up back in October. So you only have to take 2 motherfucking months off. You guys are lucky out there.
Excited about the NBA.
But we'll be watching the Chiefs before that, so that's the most important thing.
Well, we're going to be talking about a lot of fantasy football coming up here in the next few weeks, actually. Not quite yet, but we're getting close to that type of season.
We get closer to July here.
We'll get closer into July, and we'll be having our fantasy discussions once again. So I have the idea, you guys, to use our fantasy pool put into crypto, see what the hell happens for 5 months.
Why not?
Let it sit there for 5 months and see what happens. I think it'd be interesting to see how it turns out.
I want to do it, but I think most leagues out there, you wouldn't have a big enough adoption for cryptocurrencies to be able to make that happen.
So far, I haven't heard anyone say no to it, so it's just an idea, though. I think it'd be fun to put it into like Ethereum or something like that, and just let it go for 5 months and see what happens with the money.
Yeah, I would rather put it into Solana, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, yeah, we'll see how things play out. Obviously, we'll see what's going to grow the most. We can all have a discussion about that eventually, about where the money's going to go towards. But speaking of a little bit of football, though, you guys, to kind of wrap up our show here, Julio Jones now with Tennessee Titans. If you watched our show a couple weeks ago, we went over some ideas about where he could land and who the best fit would be. And landing in Tennessee is perfect, actually, for that team. They did need to have another receiver addition because all they had was A.J. Brown and then Josh Reynolds. That was really the only receivers they had. They lost Jonnu Smith and they lost Corey Davis in the offseason. So Julio going over there and then letting A.J. Brown keep the number 11. I mean,
such respect.
absolutely. And A.J. Brown recruited him hard. A.J. Brown wanted him badly on the team. And let's keep in mind with Julio Jones, obviously, he was injured through most of last season. But, over the course of his entire career, we're looking at a potential Hall of Famer here. And the guy has put up seasons like 136 catches for 1,871 yards, put up seasons of 1,677 yards. And, that was in a situation with, Matt Ryan, who was very inconsistent too. So put him on a team that can run the ball better than anyone in the league besides maybe the Browns. And then put him on a team with a quarterback like Ryan Tannehill, who has, over the course of his career, gotten better every single year of his career at quarterback, improved drastically, and had a revival going from Miami to Tennessee. And now you're going to see him have some true weapons on the outside between Brown and Julio Jones. But my point in bringing that up, you guys, is that this could change some of the landscape of the AFC currently, because as of right now, it's currently sitting at the Chiefs are number 1, Buffalo Bills are number 2, and then the Tennessee Titans have been kind of number 3, but also it's been, Baltimore Ravens have been in there. Teams like that have also been in the mix. And looking at this now, this is a team that's given the Chiefs fits in the past for sure. The Titans are not an easy team to go out there and beat. And I feel like looking at them roster by roster now, does this move potentially put the Titans over the Buffalo Bills as the number 2 in the AFC? Because, looking at the whole roster pound for pound here, I mean, you got a great combination of Stephon Diggs with Cole Beasley over there in Buffalo. But their running game lacks. They don't have a good consistent running game. Devin Singletary has not been what they expected yet. Zach Moss has a lot to prove. Meanwhile, in Tennessee, they got Derrick Henry, the best running back in the whole game. Now, looking at it that way, offensively, the Titans got to have the edge there, I think, at this point. What do you guys think? Are the Titans now the team to beat besides the Chiefs in the AFC?
So before I answer this question, Mike, you being the NFL expert, do you know, does Julio Jones still have a screw in his foot?
Yeah, absolutely.
He still has the screw.
I don't think it makes any difference in his playing ability, though.
Well, I hope it doesn't, because I've always liked Julio as a player. I'm just trying to be practical here. He is 32 years old, slowed by a hamstring strain all last season. In my opinion, he's not going to get much better this year, although being in a run-first offense might help him make it through the season healthy. I'm going to give you a hot take right now. I think he's washed, and whether that be because I don't think it's because of a declining skill set. I think it's more along the lines of an Anthony Davis in the NBA, where I think that you're not going to be able to depend on him. And so, just to be clear, that's the reason why I think he's washed. It's not because I don't think he's a good player.
Well, hold on, Jason. Just for the sake of it, because you brought up screw in the foot. I mean, that happened in 2017. The very next year, he led the league in receiving yards. So that very next year, with that screw in that foot, he led the league in receiving yards. That alone,
I appreciate that.
I don't know if it matters.
I appreciate that, but I'm just saying that screw has been there for a while.
He had one in 2011 in his foot. He's had one his whole career for the most part in his foot. At some point,
I'm just
never
saying,
affected his playing ability.
When you turn 32, it doesn't get easier. Whether you had a screw or whether you didn't have a screw.
But wide receivers that are that elite talent can play at a high rate until they're about 36, 37.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, but I'm just making more of like the Anthony Davis comparison, where at this stage in his career, it's maybe you could say it's a bad comparison, because Anthony Davis is still in his 20s, but football is a more violent sport. And so Julio Jones is a much older player. So I just think that from an NFL standpoint, I think he could be very valuable for the Titans. I certainly wouldn't want him on my fantasy team playing in a run-first offense. And I think that overall, the fact that they lost Jonnu Smith, to me, that makes it a wash, because Jonnu Smith was an up-and-coming tight end. I mean, I think it's just not going to make that big of a difference for the Titans. I think still, you look at the AFC South, that division fucking sucks. I don't think Carson Wentz is going to do shit this year. And so I think the Miami Dolphins are a better team overall
than the Bills and Titans?
I think Miami is a better team than the Tennessee Titans this year. I think they'll end up with a better record, And I'm not even going to mention the Buffalo Bills because I have the Buffalo Bills ahead of Miami, but I think both of those teams are going to be better than the Titans.
Okay. So in general, though, you think this is a wash? Or as far as
I think it's a wash.
They lost Corey Davis and they lost Johnny Smith.
Well, you
I think it's a wash because we've seen what the Titans like to do. Every fucking defense in the NFL knows what they're going to do. They're going to fucking run the ball. So, it's going to be a little bit easier to stop them now. If they would have kept Jonnu Smith, then I would be sucking the Titans' dicks right now.
You think that's big of a difference, Jonnu Smith? The guy only had 400 and something receiving yards last year.
You, of all people, I know you were a big believer in Jonnu Smith.
I love Jonnu.
Was I.
I like Jonnu Smith. He's not the end all be all of the freaking Titans, though.
But with Julio Jones, that would make a big difference because you have two weapons now.
But here's the thing: you're upgrading at receiver. He's better than Corey Davis. We already know that. And then
I don't give a shit about Corey Davis. He sucks. I don't even bring him into this
Jonnu Smith put up average tight end numbers at best. Average at best tight end numbers. That can be replaced by the current tight end, Anthony Ferkser, or even Jeff Swaim.
Yeah.
So, I mean, either one of those guys can probably put up
Jeff Swaim? You're going to bring up Jeff Swaim? You're comparing him to Jonnu Smith?
I'm saying they can put up the same numbers Jonnu just did. So, all I see right here, this is an improvement for that team, adding Julio Jones, a Hall of Fame receiver. I mean, was
Jonnu not a rookie? So you don't think Jonnu would have improved? He
wasn't a rookie.
But I'm just saying, he's a younger tight end.
Yeah, sure.
You don't think he's going to improve and give you more production than an aging Julio Jones?
I mean, Jonnu Smith, to me, could be a 700-yard tight end.
I don't think within the Titans' offense he's going to be a force, right? I think that's the case we're looking here. I don't think it's necessarily – I think where he's at now with the Patriots, he's going to become a superstar with the Patriots. He wasn't going to do it with the Titans. Because Tannehill ain't throwing in no tight end consistently like that.
No, I think he was looking for the tight end first. He would look to the tight end before he would look to a wide receiver.
No, well, that's when A.J. Brown was out. Who else are you going to throw it to? You didn't have anybody.
A.J. Brown put up big numbers last year. He was very productive.
A.J. Brown was in?
Very productive.
That was your key guy.
I'm just saying I was a big believer in Jonnu Smith, and I mean, he's a younger guy. I just think he would have done great things for the Titans this year.
So then your point to this is the AFC goes like that. The AFC
it's a wash.
The AFC is Chiefs, Bills, Dolphins, then Titans.
No. He said Chiefs, Dolphins.
No, I'm just talking about just that group of three teams.
Okay.
If you're just talking Bills, Miami, and Titans, I'm not talking about the total rankings. I'm saying if I had to rank those three teams, the Titans are going to come in last of those three teams because I think the Dolphins, they already had a good roster last year. I think they're going to take a step up this year.
I know. I don't disagree with you on that because I do like some of their additions they came out with. Obviously, Jalen Waddle is an elite receiver. They added Will Fuller for some speed on there as well. Devontae Parker was re-signed, who's been consistent as time's grown in his career. There is some talent there without a doubt. I just look at the Titans as a better all-around package of a team than the Dolphins, and more consistent too.
And you don't think Derrick Henry is going to take a step back this year because what he did last year was otherworldly.
No one's ever rushed for 2,000 yards twice, so that's probably not going to happen again for Derrick Henry. But still, at the end of the day, he could still rush for 1,600 and have a great year.
That's just kind of my prediction is that Derrick Henry takes a step back, and you're going to see Julio Jones playing like 9 games this year if you're lucky. That's just my prediction.
Due to injury rate? Is that your point?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, Mike, I believe the Bills are still second place in the AFC. What? Anyways, the Bills are still second place in the AFC. The Dolphins are nowhere near that conversation. Just to get that out of the way. I believe... we got some stuff going on here, yeah. I believe the Bills have a better... The Bills have a better team. I just think they have a better team. I'd give them the I can't even talk. All right. Sorry, guys. I believe the Bills are a better team. That Titans have better weapons. The Bills have a better defense and a better line. And I think that's what it's come down to is can the Titans be more consistent or not? And I just don't think they can be consistent. They weren't consistent last year when they had everybody healthy. And why would they be consistent with a Julio Jones who probably played 12 games out of the 17 or 16 or whatever, 17, whatever. So the Bills, I think the Bills are still number 2 in the AFC. And then the Titans, I honestly think are probably like 4, maybe 5.
Yeah, sure.
I'd say they're top 5. I wouldn't say they're top 3.
All right, so I do need to put one disclaimer out there since we were talking about the Titans. I just want to point out that when I talked about Tim Tebow on the other show, guys,
Oh, God.
he is not going to lead them to the playoffs, okay? That was a bullshit topic. I was not serious. So please forgive me for throwing Tim Tebow's name out there on a previous show. That was just trying to make sure that you guys are listening.
I think they've forgiven you and they've prayed for your soul as well, like a Tebow would. So, anyways, you guys, anything to wrap it up here before we get off here?
Hey, drop us a like and subscribe, guys. If you like this buffoon content here. So
Enjoy your 6ix9ine and all that good stuff. I hope you did anyway, and tell me all about it in the comments below. So.
Yeah, guys. So I also want you guys to throw out some ideas on Twitter if you can. So we've talked about washed players last couple weeks on this show. We threw out LeBron. I threw out Julio Jones. Guys who may not be washed right now, but they're probably going to be washed next year. So I want to hear your ideas about other players that we haven't mentioned that you think might be washed coming up soon. And I don't even care what sport it's in. It could be MLB, NFL, NBA, hockey. Whoever you want to throw out there, we'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
All right, you guys. Well, it's said then. I will see you all on the next one.
JG is out.
see you guys.